Okay, this is Atlanta, and what we're going to work on here today is a hot lap for the fixed setup, and pretty much I'm going to try and do some of these runs, these hot laps for you guys, just to kind of see the line, see how I'm running them. I try and get as fast as I can with them. There's always a guy who's a tenth or so faster, but we'll give this a shot here. So we'll go ahead and just watch this. Now this is a qualifying lap, so we get the out lap and the full lap. A lot of times the out lap is pretty important to really turn that fast speed that you'll see in a practice or in a qualifying session. So you really need both, and pretty much, just want to practice it that way as well. So here we go. Okay, and that's the lap. So we'll go back to the beginning here and we'll break it down a little bit. So on the out lap, it's pretty simple. Like most every track, you want to start the same way, as close as you can up here against the wall in 1 and 2 as you come up to speed. Now this track, a lot of times on a lot of tracks, you kind of want to stay up against the wall as much as you can to help build up some momentum, and then you're going to cut down as much as you can while you can keep your foot in it. So once I pick up the throttle, I don't want to be lifting off or letting off anymore from this point. I want to just keep my foot down the whole way and have a good run up to the start-finish line and a good run for my first time lap. So run all the way through there. This is where it gets a little bit more exciting. So we want to lift off the throttle pretty much right after this sprint sign here, right about that. Okay, so you can see I'm starting to roll out as soon as we get to there. You don't want to jump all the way off the throttle because you'll get loose on entry, so you need to keep a little bit of throttle. You roll out of the throttle, that's very important. Roll out of it, and I actually do come completely off. If you don't come completely off, you get tight. It gets hard to turn, so I actually come completely off there just to get it to turn as much as I need. And then you got to work the throttle a little bit just to keep it turning. If you just jump on it and try and stay in it, you'll get too tight and you're going to hit the wall on the exit of 2. So you got to make sure it's going to turn all the way once you can really get completely back into the throttle. And then once you're off, the car should feel okay. If it's really sliding around too much, you probably had a little too much steering input maybe, or you got on the gas a little too hard too early or something. It should come off pretty nice and easy. If you're sliding around a bunch, that's when you start to notice that you're maybe not running that corner as well as you could be. So after that, the harder turn, in my opinion, is actually in turn 3 and 4, and I did about 150 laps before I was able to break down into the ones, and it's mostly because I was over driving turn 3. You really got to actually come completely off the gas and really get it to turn. I kept trying to drive in with some throttle, thinking I needed more throttle to keep my speed up, but you know, you really got to get it to turn. You got to get to the bottom, and if you overdrive it, you'll notice you'll slide up, and you can't get down to the white line the way you need to. If you don't get to the white line, I don't see how you can have a good lap here off 3 and 4. So, well, we'll just rewind that a little bit here. So, where do I let off? Not a great marker, but about around the beginning of the safer barrier is a pretty good spot. And again, you roll out, but you roll out a little bit, you know, just kind of consistently, I guess. And once you come completely off, then you can start really turning down. And I gave it a little throttle. You see a little bit of throttle go back in. That's just to stabilize it, to keep it from over-rotating. And then, again, just kind of trying to keep, you want to keep the momentum up too. So if you just coast too long without any throttle, it seems like you bleed off too much speed too. So it's kind of a balancing act. But again, once you can get back to the throttle completely, then that really helps to, you got to be able to get to the throttle early enough to finish off the lap. If you're pushing out to the wall really far, then usually you got on the throttle too early. That's kind of the number one thing that was happening to me. If I was getting on the throttle too early, then it didn't want to turn off. But then if you're too late on it, you're just slow. So that's the way to do the lap. You shouldn't touch the brake here any. It doesn't help you. I tried that and it doesn't work. So there you go. Hopefully this helps some people. Hopefully I'll be able to do a few more of these.